Fear is one of the most harmful things that we can engage in, particularly when it's all-consuming. We can perceive ourselves as bound, unable to see the path before us. It swallows us if we allow it. There's perceived conflict. You have conflict, disorder, stress, failure, wrestling in the mind. This can be overcome. Because you see the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is often not given enough credit, in my opinion. The Page of Cups is not merely a communication. The Page of Cups is the psychic of the deck. I always note this, particularly because the way he gazes at his cup, it's as if he's scrying, visualizing the fish he is to catch with the waters behind him. And it is important to note that the water behind him represents the subconscious mind. So he is visualizing what is to be. And that is why it is so crucial that we pay attention to the thoughts and feelings that we feed energy to. If we focus on discord, we will find discord. And is discord so bad? Because this is often where greatness is born. We must learn to fight. We must learn to survive. We must learn to compete. We must learn to hold stamina through trial. Meanwhile, all that momentum and energy that you have put into the things that you're concerned with, have you forgotten your progress? Have you become so focused on problems that you can't see that there's a solution right around the corner? Have you forgotten tools that you have learned, insights you have gained? Because when fear comes into the picture, all of that can sort of blur into the background. Behind you, there's a sense of great faith and trust in the fates. Everything seemed to be moving along. And then the crushing anxiety creeps in. Also, this card doesn't only speak of anxiety, but it can talk about a lack of sleep, restlessness, or even a lack of self-care in the sense of make sure you're eating enough, make sure you're getting rest, make sure you're taking time to do things without being consumed with what is to be. We often create our suffering in that way because what has happened and what is to come basically doesn't exist. What exists is right here and right now. So when we are already suffering for what is anticipated to happen, or we are suffering over what has already happened, well, I think you get the picture. Now, this could come into professional matters or social matters. It could involve other people. It could involve gathering. It could involve recognition. It could involve really any slew of things. And this, to me, also suggests that things are going better than you really give credit for. Just because there's a day where things aren't necessarily flying forward and giving us that dopamine hit, that doesn't mean that it's all lost. And that's another thing to consider in this age of social media and instant gratification and constant bombardment of information. When we're met with stillness, we perceive it as something being wrong. And I will say, it's not natural. If you can't sit alone in a room in silence and stare at a wall comfortably for an hour, in my opinion, there's something wrong. You should be able to do that no problem as a human. But the fact is most can't today. If you haven't done that ever, some people I feel like haven't done that ever. No music, no stimulation, no phone, no book, no sketchpad, no nothing. Try this. Just sit in a chair, in a room, alone in silence for an hour. I'd encourage you to do it daily, but even just try it once. It might do you some good. And you have insight, you have wisdom, you have experience. You've probably been here before, and things have been fine before. But instead, we choose to investigate our fears and pour way too much energy into them. This is not beneficial for you or anyone around you. It's certainly not beneficial for anything you're trying to achieve. And what I would say too is with the things that you fear, what good is it? Because haven't you already made your decisions? Haven't you already taken the leap forward? Haven't you already thrown yourself into trusting what is meant for you or the direction taken? There is no looking back. To look back or to fear the wrong choice is hesitation. And in times of, in a critical moment, we don't have time for hesitation. When it comes to making the proper choice of what to say at, say, like an interview, or if someone's attacking you, or whatever the case may be, you should feel sure of what you're doing. You should feel confident in your choice. And when massive cycles are shifting, it can be difficult and even frightening to adjust to the new, particularly when we're so familiar with the old. Change can be a very scary thing. Evolution can be a very scary thing, particularly when you can't comfortably predict how it's going. But again, this is where greatness is born. This is where the best things happen, is when we embark upon the mystery, the adventure, the journey. What would life be without that? Waiting for information, waiting for movement, hoping for growth, hoping for development. And the thing is at the end of all this, there will be clarity and confidence in your decisions. You will be able to stand comfortably. At some point, the suffering will stop. At some point, you'll realize that you do have what you need. At some point, you'll realize that maybe this was in your head. And if it wasn't, and it was something horribly wrong or whatever the case is, maybe it wasn't supposed to be there anyway. Take a step back. It's not about forcing things into existence. It's about nurturing ideas, nurturing yourself, and nurturing your environment so it becomes capable of creating everything that you hope for. And even stress, even fear, in the right proportion, is a necessary ingredient for growth. Everything we experience has a purpose. Without anxiety, we wouldn't have survived this long. It's a matter of how we utilize it and how we react that makes the difference. Thank you for joining. I am going to take this a bit further on my Patreon. So if you want to see the extended version, please do join me there. I also take personal readings if you want to book one with me. You can access all of that on my website. The link is in my bio. And I hope you have a great night.